Hi everybody, and welcome back to the Daily Creative Challenge, and happy Friday to everybody. Nice to see you here. I'm actually gonna go back into the chat and start to say hi to everybody that has joined us here on Behance. If you're watching from YouTube, make sure to tune in on behance.net/live or b.net/Adobe Live, and from there you're gonna be able to say hi and ask your questions in the chat. So let me go ahead and start saying hi to those of you who already have joined the chat here. So hi Laura, nice to see you again. I've just done an Instagram Q&A on at I am Kladi. So Laura was there. Cody, nice to see you. Darlene, nice to see you. Brittany, Andre, Katarina, Steve, ciao. Happy Friday, everybody. Louise, nice to see you. Looking so radiant. It's Friday. Welcome to the Daily Creative Challenge. As usual, it's a pleasure to be here with you at Adobe Live. I'm always very excited for these challenges, so thank you so much for joining me. And let's go ahead and let's get started. We have a lot of things to do here at Adobe Live. Today is such a busy, fantastic, fun Friday at Adobe Live. So much going on, so much excitement for Adobe Max. It's already a party this weekend. Usha from Seattle, nice to see you. By the way, let me know where you're tuning in from. I'm based in Manchester, UK, and I'm your host for the creative challenges in Illustrator this week. Fantastic. So I'm gonna go ahead and jump into my screen real quick so we can go ahead and start from our landing page. And here we are. As you can see from our landing page, this is the perfect place where to start when joining the challenge. You can click on the blue button in order to be reminded of the new challenges. But most importantly, if you scroll down, you will reveal all the different challenges that are on every day, in this case in Illustrator. And as you can see, today's challenge is Watermark. Is going to be our last day together, which I'm really sad about, but don't worry, I'm gonna come back with Leica Pro. I'm gonna come back with a FT2, which is the first take session for Adobe Max with a new feature in Illustrator, InDesign, and Photoshop. I hope you're ready for a party. I'm already wearing my Max t-shirt. I'm ready to party for Max. So let's go ahead and click on Get Started in order to access the started file for today. As usual, you have a started file that you can use in order to follow along, or if you want, you can always go back on the landing page. For now, just relax and watch the video and join the chat, and then you can always go back and you will have access to the started file later as well. But it's always good practice to download it right now and open in the app so you know what we are doing. And for those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, when I talk about Max, it's the place to look at, max.adobe.com. That's where you're going to discover so many labs and session and all the fun that is going to go on at Adobe Max. I have 3 sessions, S300, 351, and FT2. So those are my sessions if you want to join. But make sure to go ahead and register. Max is free for all and available all over the world online. It's online, so it's available for everybody and it's free. So much good stuff going on. Make sure not to miss it. Right, now let's go back and hopefully everybody has downloaded the started video. Another thing that I want to make sure to remind everybody is to join our Discord channel. So Discord is a community where you can chat, get feedback, and most importantly, share the work that we do together. So just head to bit.ly/AI Discord, and by doing so you're going to be able to join our fantastic community with designers, students, the Adobe Live team, and of course the lovely mentors. I'm going to go ahead and show you how it looks like in my desktop. Let's see, it looks like I need to be verified. So we're going to do that in a second, but let's go ahead and look on Discord in order to share your file. I'm going to leave it just 1 second there, just to make sure that I can perhaps hopefully access it from my computer without having...
I'm not sure I understand.
Ooh, my computer doesn't understand. It looks like I perhaps need to log in again. So just let me log in real quick, and I need to verify Discord. Anyway, let's move on and let's jump real quick into Illustrator, but go ahead and join Discord. I don't have access to my phone right now. Otherwise, again, you can join from your phone, from your mobile, from whatever you want in order to show and display your work. But let's jump into Illustrator in order to start with today's file. So today's file, it's all about creating a watermark. And as I've done in all these challenges this week, I'm going to go ahead and show you the final work. But also remember, use this time to ask questions in the chat. If you have any specific questions, make sure to go ahead and ask them on behance.net/live, so I will be able to reply. Katarina, thank you so much. Jessica, I'll register for Max. Fantastic. Stony, don't you hate when your phone talking when you don't ask? Yes, especially when I'm live. That's not cool. But here we go. Bake it like a pro. That's so sweet. Can someone take a screenshot of that comment for me so I can put it? Those kind of comments make my day. Thank you so much, everybody. But let's get started. As I say, here's a little preview of what we're going to be creating. I'm going to show you how to create your very own watermark in order to protect your assets. And in particular, another reveal. I just wanted to keep it exciting because it's Friday and because we have fun during these challenges. This is the final of my session 351. So I'm going to teach you how to create this wonderful composite. That's my friend Jamie that posed as a model for our session and allow us to take photos. But most importantly, what I want to show you here is that once that I created the photo, I can now use the watermark to make sure that nobody can copy the photo, and they're going to have a very, very hard time. They can use it as a reference if they want to use it on a mockup, but they will not be able to use it as their own asset. And that's a very safe way. Watermarking also when you're dealing with clients for the first time, maybe you're debating and you haven't received your deposit yet. If you're showing your logo, if you're showing a composite or any image that you've created, well, the best practice is to perhaps create your brand, your logo watermark, or just your name or a symbol, just something that gets in the way of for them to use the file that you created. That's a way of protecting your work. So today, not only I'm going to show you how to create that, but we're going to do it by creating a pattern. So buckle up, everybody. I hope you are ready because we're about to get started. So if you open this file already, you will see that we have different layers on your layers panel. So we have an instructions layer, color palette, and artwork. Ignore the layer 4. That's just an example, which is the preview. It's very important that we know the size of our artboard. In this case, specifically because we're going to be creating a pattern. So I'm going to go ahead and make sure that I know that this is a 200 by 200 pixel artboard. Now I wrote that down for you, but if you wanted to know that yourself, all you have to do is to click on artwork and on the right layer, make sure that you select the artboard tool, which is here located at the bottom of the toolbar. It looks like a square with a little cross on the side. And also you can then click and select the appropriate artboard and then press the return key. The artboard options panel will pop up and will let you know that the width and the height are exactly 200 by 200 pixel as detailed in the instructions. But also another way where you can discover more information about the artboard that you select is on your properties panel here. Now remember, if I mention a panel that you don't see on your workspace, every panel has a home, and the home is the window menu. So if you ever we're going to be talking about swatches. If you see me going fast and you're like, Kladi, I want the panel as well, where can I get it? You can get it under the window menu. So click on window and then simply select the panel of your choice. I'm actually going to move a step further and go ahead and already select the swatches panel because we're going to be using the swatches panel today. Fantastic. But it's time to get started. So I'm going to go ahead and head to my layers panel. Remember, if you do not see your layers panel, you'll find it under the window menu. And I'm going to go ahead and make sure that I unlock and I select my artwork panel. And now I can also go ahead and hide my instruction because we already know what the instruction looks like. I'm going to toggle the visibility of our color palette. I just gave you that as an example. Those are the usual best practice color to use when creating a watermark, but you can use any color you like. Totally up to you. Fantastic. So let me know if there is any other question in the chat. I'm just going to go ahead real quick and give it a scroll. Or registered for Max. Try and be named Sarah. Siri answers all the time. Poor Sarah. Sorry. I completely understand. Bay like a pro. I'm glad you're having fun. Cody Bear, thank you so much. That's very, very sweet. I really appreciate it. Fantastic. So let's get going. The first thing that we want to do here is to select the type tool. That's the easiest way to create text. So I'm going to go ahead and click and drag in order to create some text. Now, when I choose my text for my watermark, I want to make sure that it's big and chunky and bold. How do I do that? Well, very simple. Let's go ahead to our properties panel, making sure that your text is selected. And I'm going to zoom in and have a little bit of a showcase of this character panel here. If we click on the font family little field here, if you click, there is a drop down menu. And as you can see, the font that I'm using is called Optima Bold. So take a screenshot and use it if you want to use exactly the same. But how did I come out? How did I found this font? Do I know all fonts? No. Do I know all the fonts that are on the library? Absolutely not. So the way that I come up with it is by using the filters. I'm going to zoom out so we can see. The filters will allow you to select font based on their classification. So what I've done here, I've selected characteristic that I know that we're going to be spot on for my watermark. So in this case, I've selected a sans serif. So we have nice straight letters. So, you know, it's good that you can see, maybe you can use your Instagram handle or your website so you can protect your images and promote yourself at the same time. And also I'm going to go ahead and make sure that it's a heavy weight, so nice and chunky text, and perhaps it has some nice high contrast. Now, every time that you change this combination, you can see that the actual list of font also changes, and that will allow you to browse the library depending on the characteristics of the font and its classification. So you don't need to know all the fonts. And I mean, I'm sure a lot of people know them. I don't know them all. I love to use the filters in order to discover the most appropriate font. So today, when I was playing around in order to have an idea of the best font to use, when I choose the classification of sans serif, heavy, and high contrast, Optima Bold was the best choice for me. So that's the font that I'm using today. In terms of size, I'm using a 43 size. And what I'm going to do here is to use these to, again, promote my Instagram. Why not? Or your website, whatever you want. So my Instagram is @IamKladi. And then that will be part of my actual watermark. Then I'm just going to go ahead and click on the text, use the Option or Alt key if you're working on a Windows machine, and click and drag in order to duplicate your text. And then just pick a symbol. That could be an emblem. It can be an X, it can be whatever you want. In this case, I'm just going to use the letter K. I quite like the letter K. And I'm going to go ahead and zoom in. As you can see, we have this text area that is quite bigger than my letter K. Because I'm done writing, all I have to do is to press the escape key in order to exit the actual typing mode. And we can go ahead and double click on the side handle to transform this area type into a point type. And as you can see, once we do that, it will now wrap our content. So the box is all only around our actual letters. And I'm going to do the same here because I know that I'm done. So I'm going to double click on the side handle and transform the area type into a point type. Now click and drag to select your type. And by the way, if you want to watch the previous challenges, if you haven't participated, we've created icon, we've created different drawings, we use the pencil tool. You can go ahead and use whatever you want, by all means. If you want to go ahead and use like a star, you can also use a star. That's completely up to you. I'm just suggesting you to maybe use your initials or your website to promote yourself because, you know, again, why not to make it functional as well? So all you have to do now is to click and drag over the elements that you would like to use. And then we can use the eyedropper tool from our toolbar, which is also brought up by pressing the letter I on your keyboard. And then click any of the colors that I've suggested here. Otherwise, you can choose any colors you want by heading to the appearance panel under fill. You can go ahead and select any of the grayscale that is already present here inside our swatches panel, which is over here as well. What if you want to create a color from scratch? Very easy. Double click on the fill control located at the bottom of the toolbar. Double click and we will have our color picker coming up. Select any color of your choice, whatever you prefer, and click on OK. Boom, and it's done. Now I'm going to go ahead and select actually one of the colors that I suggested, and it's time to create the pattern. So what I'm going to do is to make sure that we use a square tile to start. What we're going to do here is to first select the letter K and bring it inside our panel. Now, as you can see, I'm still dragging. I haven't let go yet. So I'm going to make sure to hold the Option or Alt key on a Windows in order to create a duplicate. And then I'm going to do the same with the @IamKladi handle. Now that I've selected this text, I want to transform it from a text into a shape because we're just going to use it in order to create our graphics. So write down the shortcut if you don't know it already is Shift Command O. That will be Shift Control O if you're working on a Windows machine. Now all we're left to do is to distribute the text wherever we want. I'm going to go ahead and click and drag on the corner of the bounding box of the I Am Kladi to make it a tiny bit smaller. Don't forget to hold Shift to resize it proportionally, because look what happened if you don't hold Shift, it's going to go ahead and get distorted. So I'm just going to go ahead and create just one corner to start with, just like so. And then I'm going to click and drag over these two elements. Now, it's very important that we know the size of the artboard. We already seen at the beginning of the stream, there was 200 by 200 pixels. Now, right click on the selection and then head to transform and move. We're going to go ahead and move our graphic horizontally of -200. Why? Because we know that the width of our square is 200. So when we move it to -200 pixel, just going to bounce exactly on the other side. So it's going to give us the cutout on the other side. And in this case, I'm going to set the vertical to 0, just like so. Now, very important, do not press OK. Otherwise, you just move it. If you press copy, you're going to move it and create a copy. So here we go. Click on copy, and here we go. We have a moved copy. And now I'm going to go ahead and do the same by selecting everything that is sitting on the top. So you can see we have the little bit of the K that is sitting on the top there that we want to make sure that it comes down as well. So all we have to do is to right click on it, transform, move, and you guess that in this time we're going to put 0 for the horizontal because we're moving it downwards, and I'm going to use 200 pixels. So remember, because of the actual, if you look at the rulers here on top, and by the way, Command R or Control R if you want to bring your rulers up, when we move to the right is a positive number. When we move down is a positive number. When we move to the left is a negative number. When we move up is a negative number. So I'm going down, in this case is 200. Before I was going left, so it was -200. I just want to make sure that you know why we're doing what we're doing. And again, simply click on copy. And here we go. We have our pattern. We know that this one is not crossing anything in particular, so we can actually go and distribute it somewhere in the middle, just like so. And if you want, you can actually bring in this star. I didn't do it before, but if you do, you can actually bring a little star here just to add some elements, or it might be confusing. I'm actually going to leave it for now. Now, how do we transform this into a pattern? Very easy. All we have to do is to go ahead and select the rectangle tool from your toolbar or press the letter M. Make sure on your keyboard, make sure to click on intersect to intersect your artboard, and let's set the size to 200 by 200 pixel because this is the size of our artboard that we're going to use. And click on OK. Now make sure to align it to your artboard horizontally and vertically. And look what happened here. The wrong artboard was selected. So click on your artboard to make sure that it's selected. And then again, I'm going to click on the artboard. You can see that it's got a darker outline. And then again, I'm going to try it again to align it horizontally and vertically, just like so. Then I'm going to go ahead and head to my layers panel, because what I want to do here is to select the rectangle. You'll see it's selected with the little square on the right, and drag it down at the very, very bottom of the layer stack. I'm going to change its color so you can see now that it's sitting below. And what you can do now is to change the fill to none. You can do here in different places. You can do it from the swatches panel. I'm going to zoom in and show you how the none looks like. It's like a white square with a little red line across. So now we know that we have this bounding box that is going to define that area that we're going to use for our pattern. Now that we know that there is that bounding box around and our elements are in place, all we're left to do is to click and drag over all the elements that belong to our pattern and simply drop them inside our swatches panel. And look what happens now. With your rectangle tool selected, we can now go ahead and click and drag in order to create a nice rectangle. And again, just because the field that we selected was transparent, is now transparent, we can assign it a color so we can see what is the actual size and the rectangle that we created. But most importantly, what we can do now is to go ahead and select our pattern. And here it is, our watermark is ready to be used. Now, a few considerations before I show you how to export them. I will always try to set the opacity into a lighter color so it doesn't really confuse the image. If we head back and we import, you can import any of your photo. I'm going to go ahead and import back my session 351, my max session output. So Shift Command P to open the place panel, and I'm going to go ahead and import our photo here starring Jamie. All we have to do now is to simply, again, like we did before, go ahead and select the rectangle tool. Because the last field that we used was our pattern with our watermark, we can go ahead and click and drag, and look what happens. We are watermarking the image right away, so nobody can use it without our authorization. All we have to do now is to head back to the properties panel, and we have two options. Either play with a blend mode by selecting the opacity and then turn it to multiply. As you can see, we'll kind of flatten it and bringing it to the actual photo, or you can actually play with the opacity value simply by dragging the opacity down. Now, don't make it too transparent, because we know that there are so many tools, especially in Photoshop, that would allow you to remove very transparent, just remove background or some cool stuff that you can do in Photoshop. So I just strongly recommend to create something that is quite, neat in terms of contrast. We want to create a contrast that is visible enough in order to really be functional. As I said, both as your promotion, there we have my Instagram tag, and both as a watermark, just like so. And you can protect your logo, your images. So if you're working with something and you're not sure, again, if you're working with a client, maybe you're just at proposal stage, they're not sure they want to work with you, they want to see something, well, fair enough. You can share them a preview, but make sure to use the watermark, because in this case, we're going to be protected, so they cannot use it anywhere else. And if they use it, they're basically promoting you because you got your website or your handle in there. So I really hope that was useful. But before we say goodbye, I want to show you something else here, which is also very important, and is a question that comes very often when we use pattern. How do we export this file? So the way that I would export this file is to head to File, Export, Export for Screen, or Export As, or Save for Web Legacy. Which one are we going to use? So the one that I use is usually the export for web. And the reason why I do that, well, first of all, I need to make sure that I select the right artboard when I do that, because it looks like the artboard that I had selected wasn't the right one. But once I do that, I go ahead and export for web or export as. I want to show you what is really important here. Let me go back and use the first one that I was showing, the Save for Web Legacy. Now, what I really wanted to show you here that is important to remember, first of all, is to set your image as a PNG. This will allow you to retain the transparency, so you can overlay it on top of any graphic and the graphic shows through. And I'm going to show you how to use that. But usually the problem when we have exporting patterns is that there is like a little square. You can actually see the tiles. Well, the way to get around it is to make sure that you select Art Optimize. So make sure to select Art Optimize whenever you export a pattern, and then will allow you to dissolve and not see all the different tiles. If you do not use it, or if you select none, you most likely are going to be able to see all those different breaks when creating a pattern, and that's not nice. So in this case, I'm going to go ahead and select Save in order to save our pattern. And once you do so, you can actually go ahead. I'm going to place it on my desktop and call it I Am Kladi Watermark. I know we got like 50 seconds before we say goodbye, and click on Save. But what it allows you to do now, and I'm going to go ahead and delete this image that I created. So let's say that we are working on any other graphics. For example, this other graphic that I created for yesterday. How do I protect this? Well, very simple. I'm just going to go ahead, Shift Command P, and bring our graphic that we created. Our watermark, as you can see, is see-through because we have saved that as a PNG that will allow us to keep the transparency. And once we select it and we bring it in, here it is, ready to protect all our file with our logo and our promotion. Fantastic. Now, don't forget to head on Discord in order to share your work. I look forward to see your watermark. Don't forget to tune in for Max and stay tuned because there is so much more going on here today. Masterclasses, illustration masterclasses, XD Creative Challenge after office hours. There is so much more going on. And again, one more time, don't forget to head on max.adobe.com and register to Max. It's coming up next week, so now is the time to register in order to join. As usual, it was my pleasure to be with you. I look forward to see you soon for the next sessions, but go ahead, grab a glass of water and come back for more Adobe Live fun. Thank you so much, everybody. I will see you soon. Bye.